introduction. So I've been licensed for about 20 years now in real estate. About 10 to 12 of those has been a very heavy focus in global. Originally working with clients and investors from China coming over to the US to invest or relocate. And then when that kind of dried up a little bit because of the fund transfer restrictions, China has problems moving money out of China. We started exploring where are the US buyers buying outside of the US. So we are very heavily focused in Mexico and Latin America and Caribbean right now, among other locations. We do have a separate arm of our business, which is global real estate sales and consulting, boutique financing. So those that are outside of the country, if they have land that they want to develop, we do have a tie-in with a lot of capital markets type groups that can finance these types of projects. Of course, they need to be viable projects that make sense, but there is an excess, pretty much endless money if there are good projects. And we also do help with basically global real estate event services. So we do host and put together trade mission events, those that do want to take their real estate offerings on the road. That's called a road show. So if you're here in the US, you want to present your US opportunities outside of the US, we do help with setting up you and your team to show up at a lot of these outbound expo events. I am the founding president for CIPS USA Los Angeles Southern California Council. CIPS, for those that don't know, is the International Real Estate Federation. So those that are more interested, that would be something to look into. Since we are short on time, I'm going to skip a lot of slides, but I will make this available, so anyone that does want to give me a business card after, I do have a lot of information in it. So what is the difference between international and global? A lot of people, unfortunately, intermix and use it as the same. International is more used when you're talking about one country to the other country. So if we're only dealing with Mexico or only dealing with China, yes, we can use the term international. But if we're dealing with multiple countries, we want to use the word global. So everyone start using global. NAR, which we are all members, hopefully, we're all realtors, besides a couple lenders in the room. They do put out an annual report. It used to be called the Profile of International Homebuyer Activity. They did rename it to International Transactions in U.S. Residential Real Estate a couple years ago. This is put out about August every year, and it tracks, this is tracking April to April, year after year. And then the second one, which they don't have a more updated one, is the Global Alliances International Residential Real Estate Business Survey. This is surveying all of NAR's international realtor members. So besides all of us here based in the US, NAR has partnerships with over 100 different global real estate associations in 85 plus countries. So these are interviewing our outside of US members. It does give a good insight what the activity is. So some of the insights right now, before I give the insights, I want to see by a raise of hands, how many are involved with global real estate right now? So we have several in the room. So I'm going to make you think a little bit differently. How many of you have worked with a non-US client or a non-Caucasian client? And I should probably see most of everyone's hands going up. So a big chunk of those would be considered a global client or international client, because a lot of those basically will be recent immigrants or direct investors from either your local market or from different US market. We will go into this. So 2021, this report is measuring half year of 2020. And what did we have happen in 2020? We had COVID. So with COVID, that definitely affects basically the incoming, what we call inbound global real estate purchases. And what we were seeing in the past for probably about since 2013 basically, so more than 5 years, China was the #1 foreign buyer into our US market. So we did see that drop heavily because they were not allowed to leave China anymore. So most people, if they cannot see the real estate that they're going to purchase, they're not going to purchase it. Especially here where we are in Southern California, we are a very high median price, high average price market. We did see lower average price point markets, so Atlanta, Texas, Vegas, those were still moving, so that was good. The top foreign buyers, and this of course, China dropped off. We see China, let's see, and there's a laser pointer. China went to number 3. Canada, which was number 2 previously since 2013, and then Mexico became number 2. So for these foreign buyers, they do have top locations where they're purchasing here in the US. The number 1 location, and it's always been number 1, is Florida. And this is, of course, overall. Number 2 is California. So yay for us here in California. And with California, basically the largest demographic within these foreign buyers basically come from Asia. And that would be, of course, China and India. So everyone, if those are your demographics, you want to work on that. China will be coming back at some point. It is sleeping giant right now, but they will be coming back at some point. So just to give you a metric, California is 34% preference for Chinese buyers and 40% preference for Indian buyers. And those that are taking pictures, again, I will share this. So for the median purchase price, you're about 50,000 higher than the median local US buyer. So if you are working with a global buyer, they are usually purchasing at a higher price point. So that equates to a higher commission. So keep that in mind. So 2017, that was the peak. So 153 billion with a B total was the foreign buyer amount into the US. And if you compare that to the 54 billion, you can see we are dropped off about a third of that total volume previously. So I just highlighted basically the peak years for each of these top 5 countries. So you can see 2017 with 153 billion accounts for most of those. India, a little bit different for their peak year. So I wanted to give some tips and tools how you can be involved. So NAR Global, I did mention already, they basically have a ongoing program which basically is interacting with our peers and sister associations all across the world. So over 100 bilateral partners in 85 countries, and there's over 5,000 of the International Realtor members. And these all are International Realtor members that follow the NAR Code of Ethics. So they will work with us how we understand how we work real estate here in the US. How many in the room have a CIPS? Raise of hands, I know there's several, so congrats to those. So CIPS is a Certified International Property Specialist certification. This is the only international recognized certification offered by NAR. So those that do want to learn about how to interact and do business with other countries, or referrals that those other countries will be sending you potentially, this is the best certification to look into. And some of the benefits are there's exclusive marketing materials, press releases, you get a newsletter, there's a private Facebook group which referrals go through every day asking for people in the US, asking for people in other countries. Originally, if China came up, I was probably one of the 2 people that would get mentioned. And right now, if Mexico comes up, I'm one of the 2 people that gets mentioned. Edican in Texas is the other one. And then there's a pinning ceremony. So those of us that just got the CIPS within the last year, if you go to NAR in November, which is in Orlando, there is a pinning ceremony, so you get pinned on stage. So it's very cool. You want to be, so I know Joe mentioned, don't try to stay away from trade associations in your own niche. I will say a little bit different. If you want to specialize in global, you want to get yourself out there so people know who you are and where you are. So here are some of the best ones. So how many in the room are ARIA? Excellent. How many are members of NAREP? So about the same. How many are FIOPSI? So we have some. So definitely those are some of the top ones, and they have membership all across the US. And for others, NAREP, for instance, they have connections all over Latin America. For ARIA, they do have 2 native chapters in Canada. Again, Canada is the top buyer here in the US. Is that important? Yes. And then the OPSI is all over the world. The OPSI is represented in 70 plus countries, 49 chapters, whether it's a country chapter or a multi-country chapter. And they just had their USA meetings in Orlando this last weekend. So the group of us that did go there, a lot of referrals happened. So definitely these are things you want to be a member of. And then of course, International Chambers of Commerce. So if you have an interest or you are a specific ethnicity or nationality, you want to look into the International Chambers of Commerce. And this would go in line with what Joe was mentioning. Go somewhere where it's not all realtors. These are all business people that are working or have the same ethnicity or have the same interest in that ethnicity, and great network to be made. So definitely look into that. I am a co-founder of this Facebook group, so definitely anyone that is interested, go look it up right now, Real Estate Pros Without Borders. When we first started, was the beginning of pandemic. We had weekly meetings, basically checking up on everyone. How was everyone doing business when COVID was giving lockdowns to everyone? We have shifted it a little bit, so we're now every 2 weeks. Part of the programming is global real estate focused. Part of it is real estate and business tools, so how to market, how to utilize social media. This most recent program we had on Monday, we had the NAR General Counsel talk about the ongoing lawsuit against NAR and giving us updates that we need to be more involved and basically notifying and educating our clients about against the fake news. Basically, a lot of the clients don't know how we're paid. So they're thinking we have basically a monopoly and we shouldn't be paid the way we are, and the commission structure and all that. So we all need to be educated, definitely. So those that do want to work with the inbound international clients, you need to think from your buyer's perspective. So Andy's presentation earlier, thinking from your buyer's eyes, how are they purchasing? What are they looking for? So most buyers that are coming from an international location or global location, one is lifestyle. So definitely here in California, most of our locations, especially Orange County, we are considered coastal. So a lot of locations, they don't have a beach, for instance. Wouldn't it be cool if you can highlight that you're close to a beach? Within 30 minutes to a beach, most locations. Education. So for most of the Asian buyers, I can say for a fact, because that's our main buyer demographic, they want to put their children in the top ranked schools, whether that's a public school, private school, university. If you have one of those top ranked schools near the home that's in question, do you think that would give it some high demand? Definitely. Investment. So any of us that are in real estate as an agent, I think we understand the investment portion or the factor. We all want to make sure whatever we're buying makes sense investment-wise. And if anything, that it does not lose value. So if you're buying something and you're using it yourself and don't lose value, that's still a gain. But if it makes value, it gains money every month as a rental, and it appreciates, excellent. And then lastly, risk mitigation. And this is something that's very, very true for China, is a lot of the Chinese entrepreneurs that became rich within the last 10 years, they don't want to leave their money in China. And this was already happening pre-COVID. And mainly because they understand at any given point, the Chinese government can turn off button and they're now poor. So they want to move a portion or all of their wealth outside of their home country. So definitely, that's something you want to look into. And then some of the other events, so we mentioned already NAR Expo and Conference. I got global summits and forums, International Property Expos, ARIA Global Luxury Summit. Tom, when's the next one for global or ARIA?
We haven't announced it yet.
Oh, okay. So ARIA does 2 events per year. One is global, which is focused more on the global, of course. It has a global congress, which has a lot of international and global guests. And then second is their national convention towards the end of the year. You have MIPIM in France, which is a very, very big trade show, more heavily focused on commercial real estate, development, and investors. But you have a lot of the who's who that is there. So if you want to get FaceTime with anyone that's important, that's where they are. And then the Realty World Congress, which will actually be in a week and a half in Paris. So that's another cool event. Some more ideas, so trade missions. So those that want to sell or market or earn referral fees for foreign locations, you want to understand that destination location. And the best way to understand that destination location is to visit. Do you agree? Yeah. So in the audience, if those that went with something that I co-hosted or hosted in Dubai or Mexico, can you raise your hands? So we have about half of the room. So definitely you want to look into these. And part of it is to learn about the local real estate, part of it is to network with the local professionals, and part of it is to understand that purchase process, because not everyone works the same way as us here in the US. You want to build your global referral partners, whether that's inbound, so people in other countries or other states sending us deals here in California, or outbound, if you have clients that want to buy outside of the US, wouldn't it be great if you were the first person that they thought about when that thought came into their head? Definitely. You want to be able to market listings internationally. So we are not licensed in other countries. So we're co-marketing with a local partner. So you want to build up your referral and relationship basis in these other countries. And then contact the local economic development departments in each of these locations, because they are the ones that know what's going on, what's being developed, what's being redeveloped, what's going up, what's coming down. So I mentioned trade missions. So the next one that my team is hosting is August 7th to 14th. This is going to be in Mexico, Playa del Carmen and Riviera Maya, Tulum, and Cancun. So definitely anyone that's interested, that's a great way to do it. I will show a couple samples of what you can purchase down there. And then just something that we did in 2019, pretty much right before COVID started the next year, we took a group of 24 agents and brokers from across the US to Beijing and Shanghai. So that was one of our bigger trips. This is pretty much postponed until they're open again, but we do have enough interest to do a second part of this trip. So anyone that is interested in China, keep in touch. So the main reasons that people will purchase overseas, the main two reasons are vacation home and investment. So we mentioned investment before. Vacation home, that makes sense. All of us that travel, we probably have in the back of our minds, what would it take to own something over here that is my own home? Number three is a second home. So if you're going to be using it 2-3 months, up to 6 months per year, that's considered a second home. So what you're buying as a vacation home would be a very, very different category than what you would purchase as a second home. Same thing as if you're purchasing your principal residence here in the US compared to if you're purchasing an investment property. Very, very different criteria. And then the very last category would be retirement. So someone that's looking to retire, whether it's immediate or later on, and they're just getting everything ready right now. But wouldn't it be cool if it could be a combination of all four of these? And certain locations across the globe can qualify and to be able to all of these categories. The kind of formula, I like to say, that you want to look at when you're looking overseas is a combination of earning money from these multiple different streams. So depending where you are and how the property is offered, a lot of properties offered outside the US are offered on a pre-sale model, meaning they are offering the contracts and you're signing and you're paying a down payment before the product is finished. These actually are very, very lucrative because most of them will appreciate 15 to 25% per year until they complete. And for Mexico, for instance, usually that's a 2 to 3 year headway before the delivery date. So you could be making 50% even before you take delivery. So these are some of the cool opportunities. They use the word capital gains. That's what we call appreciation here in the US. We don't like the word capital gains in the here in the US, but that's what they use. ROI would be your rental income, whether that is from Airbnb short term, whether it's being a managed hotel condo like what we own, or whether it's a long-term tenant, ROI. And for a lot of these locations, over 10% is very, very easy. So a lot of us here right now, of course, are struggling with our buyer clients. So if you have an investor buyer looking for investment property here, and they say they want over 6%, the pickings are pretty slim, yes? So you might want to mention to them, did you ever consider investing outside of the US in a safe location that it has a proven track record? And open up that conversation. So definitely these are available. And then for those that are more in the stock market, they would understand this. The exchange rate. The exchange rate does this. Goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down. At the beginning of COVID, for the Mexican peso, normally it's 1 to 18, 1 to 19 exchange rate. It went 1 to 25. Do you think someone got some discounts during that time if their contract was a Mexican peso rate? Definitely. So here's a kind of a visualization on that pre-sale model. So if you were to purchase a property at $100,000 contract price, you're putting 30% down, which is $30,000, and you have $70,000 that's due at the delivery, which could be 2 years, could be 3 years. So you don't have to pay it right away. But again, what happens is at delivery, that condo might be worth $135,000. So your $30,000 created a $35,000 equity boost for you. That's 116% on your $30,000. And a lot of people that are doing this market, they're basically selling these condos right before they close on it, so they don't even have to pay their closing costs. So definitely it's a strategy. And to give an example, our personal condo in Tulum, which again, we will be raffling a 2-night stay. We basically went into contract $216,000 beginning of 2020, so pretty much right when COVID started. And we closed towards the end of 2020. Then it was at $245,000 at the closing, the delivery date. That was $30,000, and we put in about $35,000. Isn't that a great return if we sold it? But that wasn't what we wanted to do. We wanted to keep it, of course. But that's an option. The most popular locations that the U.S. residents are traveling to, Mexico and Canada. That makes sense. So Mexico, again, very, very popular. The top locations to retire, and this is ranked by internationalliving.com. They track basically cost of living, geopolitical issues, economy. They track a lot of different factors. Number 1 and number 2, Costa Rica and Panama. They've always been number 1 and number 2. They flip back and forth. Number 3, Mexico. It's always been number 3. So always want to pay attention. And then for Europe, number 1 is Portugal. So keep that in mind. I'm going to skip some of these. So in Playa del Carmen, which is the middle of Riviera Maya, I'm going to feature a project. This is called Mayacoba, Ciudad Mayacoba, which is Mayacoba City. This square right now is basically the project. This is the main highway. About probably 5-10 minutes, you're in central Playa del Carmen. So it's not too far from central location. It basically, half of it is a country club. So this is a country club. And there's high-end homes next to it. And then there's going to be a hospital, top-ranked hospital franchise, top-ranked medical tourism. There'll be an international high school. So basically, they're going to be making a mini city with this. We do have a project we are representing. It's 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Starting price $60,000. $60,000, very, very cheap. And I do want to mention, any of these projects, we do have a broker partner program. So any of you that have clients, we do partner with you. You can earn anywhere from 4% up to 6% of the purchase price. These, of course, they are smaller. If you look at the bottom right, they are going to be a little bit higher density as far as the build. But that price, you're not going to find anywhere else in Mexico. And I know, I've been searching Mexico 4 or 5 years. So this is the cheapest entry point, and we could find stuff all the way up to $4 or $5 million. So depending what clients are looking to do, we have a lot of different options. Another option, so Tulum, also Riviera Maya. This is a project that is in an area called Harmony, which is next to an eco resort called Holistica. And they basically host a lot of different eco type events. They host something called Art With Me, which is like, what is it like? It's like Burning Man, and if you took that and then Art Basel in Miami, mixed it together. So you got like that. So this is a project, it's 90% complete. Do you think that's very safe to purchase? Yes. So they have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath starting $180,000. I don't know if it's still available. They did send me something a couple weeks ago. They had a penthouse unit, which is the top level, does have a private rooftop deck, basically at $240,000 for quick closing, fell out of closing. So what we call falling out of escrow. They don't have escrow in Mexico, so falling out of the closing process. Something closer to us here on west coast of Mexico. So in Puerto Vallarta, this is on the south shore, which is a newer, more higher demand area. This is right on the water, so they basically built a high-rise. This has 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. The lowest priced one is a 2-bedroom one, or the 1-bedrooms are sold out pretty much. So the lowest priced 2-bedroom, 1-bath, they're starting $322,000. However, they offer something called fractional ownership. And you don't want to confuse fractional ownership with timeshare. You actually get a fractional deed. So you actually own it on paper. With timeshare, you don't own anything. You own a certificate that you can use the property. So for the fractional, these start around $50,000 for a 1/6 share of the property. The 1/6 share of the property, you get 8 weeks of personal usage on it. So wouldn't that be cool? And if you don't use it, you get 1/6 of the ROI rental income on it. So these are definitely cool options. So I will end with this. So everyone knows what EB5 is, right? Yeah. So EB5 went through a lot of reform. And if you look at this graph, basically you can see there, this was in October 2020. There's almost 57,000 active cases from China. So China can no longer use EB5 because it's going to be a 10-year to 15-year process from start to finish. So I don't know any wealthy Chinese person that's going to put that kind of money on a baby and wait 10 to 15 years. So to give you an idea, some of the things that did change was the entry price point. So the traditional was $500,000 and $1 million, depending if you were self-directed or a regional center. Right now, after some of the reform that happened last year and was undid last year, it is renewed finally. It is at $800,000 and $1,050,000. So those of you that have clients that are not from China, EB5 might still be workable. And Joe does have a project that you can get paid on. It's very hard to get paid by a regional center. He has figured out how to do it. So what we have figured out, and this is, I'll skip this first one because it's not applicable. Using a path to citizenship in basically a third country to basically get a U.S. residency in the end. So basically a long-term green card, long-term residency. So basically you would purchase real estate in that third country. Right now, Turkey is the one that we're focusing on. And I know Warren just got back from Turkey. You apply for citizenship using that purchase. You get your passport in that third country. Then you purchase multifamily here in the U.S. using what's called an E2 residency program. And the E2 residency program is what we call a treaty visa. Turkey has a treaty visa program with the U.S. Mexico also does. Philippines also does. A lot of countries do. So what is cool was this concept or this roadmap was not available several years ago. It was just recent that a lot of immigration attorneys figured out how to structure purchasing multifamily and using that as the investment. Previously, you had to purchase a business. Most of these applicants have no reason or no background in order to purchase a business and operate a business, and they usually lose their money or go bankrupt. So multifamily is a great option. So do you think you can be involved in this first purchase? Definitely. So either referral fee or using our broker partner program, 4 to 6%. Do you think you can be involved in this process? Definitely, same thing. If they're purchasing here in California, that's a deal. If they're purchasing somewhere else, that's a referral fee. So definitely you want to keep these on the radar. And then for Turkey, just to give an example, these are 2 offerings they have right now. The minimum purchase to qualify for a passport is $250,000 US. Their real estate is based on dollars, so what we call dollarized. this actually just got changed in their policy, so it's going up to 400,000. So anyone that does have a client that's ready to go right now, this is still the price. These are two of the discounted offerings from our local partner that is in Turkey. And again, 4 to 6% referral fee. And then I will not talk about this, but it's a potential way to sell basically shares in a real estate backed security and make guaranteed returns up to 90, well, it is fixed 92% over the product life of 12 years. So anyone that does want more information on this, and same thing, you get paid 4 to 6% referral fees on that. So with that, I am finished. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. I wish we had more time to talk for another 30 minutes. That would be very helpful for you. But our last speaker is none other than Tom Trump. Tom Trump is one that taught me to be able to throw the phone in the ocean and without worrying about it. And I literally mean that. He's now traveled the world and literally not working except for meeting all of us here, right? So he figured out a way how to do that. I think we all won that, and I think it would be great if we listen and learn something from Tom. So Tom, here you are.
All right, I stand between you